welcome to another Teacher Kirby playthrough. This is going to be preparing your level 50 Starship, and your level 50 Starship is of course your end game ship. So first things first, I'm going to take care of the promotion. I'm going to speak to Admiral Quinn, and there we go, congratulations, okay, and there we go. And of course I have two promotions here, because I pretty much skipped through level 45. Just give me a little extra expertise, and even though I'm in Admiral Quinn's office, I have to exit and report. There we go. Now I talk to Admiral Quinn and continue. Alright, so now this gives me a couple things that are available to me. Alright, so I have now gotten my promotions. I can come to our temporal agent.
Greetings, how can I assist you today? Or in the future?
And anything that I was now able to complete or claim, I can claim on I can claim on my tune, and that should just about, let me see, okay, not quite, because this is another all faction. So there is still looks like one that I cannot claim on my tune. Probably unlocks at, looks like it unlocks at level 60. Only Mr. Story Arc. Interesting, because I did complete that story arc. I'll have to look into that. Okay, so I've claimed everything that I'm able to claim right now, and there we go. So I have a few extra dilithium to refine. You'll notice the amount of refined dilithium that I have has gone down significantly. This is because I did take the time prior to starting this video to upgrade all of my equipment to Mark 14. Some of it, as you see, to Mark 14 Epic. Okay. And as you can see, I now have a full set of the Crit D3 over beams. Some of them have not quite gone to Epic yet. Okay, so we'll be continuing to work on those, but only during an upgrade weekend, because that's the most effective time to do it. Okay, the reality is getting your gear to Mark 14 is the most important. Rarity is not quite as important. So, but the scaling from Mark 12 to Mark 14 is huge on the amount of damage that you do. Alright, so I have gotten my promotion. I can now go and claim my end game ship. So this is going to be the ship that I'm going to stay in. So I'm pretty much going to stay in for the rest of my things. This is going to be the ship I'm going to do STFs in, etc. So I'm going to choose this ship carefully. I'm going to think of a few things. First of all, I'm going to look at how many tactical consoles it has, how many weapon slots it has, how many science consoles it has, etc., etc. So I want to look at tier 6 ships. Okay, there are a few things. I do have unlocked a number of ships from things that I have purchased before, like the Delta Rising pack. Okay, but I'm going to look for, since this is a temporal agent tune, I'm going to see what's available to me as far as the temporal ships. So I'm looking in tier 6 ships, and let's see, tactical escort, carrier tier 6, operations, science tactical. Okay, So I do have some temporal ships. So now this one looks interesting. So let's take a closer look at the Nautilus. It does have, I'm looking at console seating is nice. It has 4 science consoles, 4 tactical consoles. So just from the console seating, you're going to get quite a bit out of this. Okay, now we do have a ensign tack and a lieutenant commander tack. This is very similar to what we're already running. So we can get a decent setup out of this. We do have lieutenant engineering or temporal ops. This will give us our emergency power to weapons 1 and 2 without anything left. We do have science, commander science, temporal ops station. So we can easily put a couple of the higher level temporal ops abilities as well as our 2 basic science abilities. And then we also have a lieutenant commander universal. So I could use this as a tactical and make sure we beef up our things a little bit. This would give me a second attack pattern or second fire at will 3. This would give me a second attack pattern beta. This would give me a second tactical team and the ability to use chemosite laced weaponry. I could also, if I keep my con officers as duty officers, I could put 2 copies of chemosite laced weaponry, and that can really amp up my damage with it. Okay, and still have the other minimum, bare minimum for a tactical build. This would be a very nice ship to use. Okay, if I look at the temporal escort, okay, this is going to be more tactical heavy. I have 5 tactical consoles, 3 science consoles, so nice layout. I can at least use this. I can get some nice plasma explosions out of this. Okay, I also have a commander tactical and temporal ops. I have an ensign tactical. I have a lieutenant engineering. This will give me the bare minimum emergency power to weapons 1 and 2. I have a lieutenant commander science station. This means I can easily put a grav well on this ship if that's something I like to do. And I have a lieutenant commander universal. So this is nice and versatile. Okay, I could get away with using this as a tactical. That would give me room for 1 of the new temporal ops abilities. Okay, I can look at those, and this would let me do some really nice damage with this ship. Okay, and it will be nice and maneuverable with the base turn rate of 16. I will have 2 device slots. So this would be a nice ship if you're tactical heavy, and it will give you some nice versatility. Then of course we have the temporal cruiser. Let's take a look at this. Not so much on the tactical, not so much in the science, 3 and 3 each. It's doable. You're going to have a lot of space for universal consoles. Okay, not so heavy on the tactical, only a lieutenant commander tack. Now it does have a bit of versatility here. You have a commander engineering, temporal ops. This will give you a lot of space to use some of those temporal abilities because you can put in the minimum emergency power to weapons 1 and 2 and then have a couple or even emergency power to weapons 2 only and then have 3 temporal ops abilities. This can be your emergency power to weapons 1. You can easily fit a gravel on this, and this I would say bare minimum for me personally would have to be attack and be using tactical skills, and that would be so I can have bare minimum of FA 1, FA 3, 2 copies of beta, and a tactical team. So this would not allow for any chemosite laced weaponry, anything like that. Okay, so I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to choose this. I may level it up to get the trait later on, but I'm not going to use this as my personal end game ship. And this has shield overload as the trait, so I may not even bother with that. Okay, so temporal battle cruiser. Tacks fare a little better here. So we have a lieutenant tack, lieutenant commander tack. So this would be the bare minimum. Of course, this wouldn't allow for anything like chemosite-less weaponry, anything like that. Only two science consoles, so not going to get a whole lot out of plasma explosions for this. But we do have commander engineering, so this gives us the ability to slot our emergency power to weapons 3 and 2, and then have room for a top level and a low level temporal ops ability. Only an ensign or lieutenant science, which means I'd be hard pressed to get my 2 minimum heals in here. So I'd probably make this a science so that I can have science team 1 and hazard emitters 1. So this, it would be hard pressed. You'd be hard to think it is doable, but build would be rather, you'd have to kind of work at it a bit. You do have 4 tactical consoles though, so amount of it's a nice amount of damage potential there. And of course 4-4 weapons. On the others we had 4-4. The escort 4-3, so you only need 7. And the Nautilus, I do believe, is 3-3, so you only need 6. Now, we of course have the Temporal Dreadnought. This has 4-4 again, and Lieutenant Commander tack. And then I'd probably use the Lieutenant as a tack again. And so as we can see, this is getting very similar. This is very similar to the Temporal Cruiser in its layout. You do have a bit more universal consoles available to you. And then the Temporal Multi-Mission. Now this is interesting. So it does have Lieutenant, Temporal Ops, and a Lieutenant Commander Universal. I would use this as tactical. This does have a nice amount of science. I would probably use a lot of these for temporal ops abilities. My engineer, I would be able to fit an emergency powder weapons 3, emergency powder weapons 2, and probably an engineering team. And I would fit at least a side team or hazard emitters 1 on the ensign. This is easily doable. The console layout very similar to the science scimitar. A nice amount of science consoles for plasma explosions. Nice amount of tactical consoles, bare minimum of 3. Weapons layout is only 3-3, but still doable. So this would be a nice alternative. And then of course we have the Temporal Raider, all universals. So this is very, very versatile. You have a Lieutenant Universal, Lieutenant Commander Universal, another Lieutenant Commander Universal, and a Commander Universal with Temporal Ops. So this is very, very versatile, although only 4 bridge officers. 5 tactical consoles, 3 consoles available for plasma explosions from the embassy, and 3 universals. Okay, so I'm going to pick, let's see, and let's see, a 4-2 weapons layout, so only 6 weapons are needed. I'm going to go ahead and pick, test it out. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and pick, just for giggles, the Temporal Escort. Okay, I'm going to set this up tactical heavy. I'm going to put a grav well in there, and we're going to have some fun. Okay, Alright, so I'm going to pick this as my, there we go, Theses class. And so I'm having 4-3. This is going to be nice and maneuverable. There we go. And we'll unpack this. So this is my first ship. Okay. This will be nice and tactical heavy, which is what I want. I'm not going to use any of the temporal abilities yet. I will actually be testing those out later. Alright, so we're going to rename this ship to something random. And there we go. And that way, this can become the teacher's corner. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and put my weapons on here. I want my epic weapons to be the first things I put on. And there we go. There we go. Come on. There we go. And my aft weapons. So I have a 4-4 layout here. This is going to be very nice for broadsiding. And there. Alright. And let's put our tactical. Where are they? There they are. I want the ones that are going to give me the biggest bang for my buck. So that's my ultra rare. And then my make sure I put in my EPS console. This will help me recover my power a little faster. Plasmonic Leech is a must. And because I have not had time to get any of the embassy consoles, I'm going to go ahead and put in my consoles from my temporal ships as I was leveling up. These were a nice addition to my builds as I leveled up. And I'm going to go ahead and put on my other equipment. Now, as of course I gain, there we go, fleet credits. You can see I have 23,000 fleet credits right now. As I gain fleet credits, I'm going to go ahead and purchase the things that I need. You will notice I have claimed all the rewards for reaching level 50 as a temporal agent. One thing to note, I did get 250 marks of every kind as I reached level 50. So you'll notice I have more marks than expected in Romulan and Nukara. So you can account for this as you level up, of course. And there we go. Oops. Would help if I readied the Starship, wouldn't it? Okay. That was not the one I wanted to go and put everything on. My goodness. Not paying close attention, are we today? Alright. This, of course, is sometimes going to happen. Take everything off. It's okay. We'll take everything off. And this, of course, is the fast way to do it. And we'll put everything on the correct ship. Okay. There we go. Do do do. Do do do. Do 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 do. There we go. And off. And off. And off. Off. Take that off. Take it off. Okay. Okay. There we go. There we go. This is my new ship. Okay. So we have a couple universal consoles here. Okay. There we go. Let's see. This gives a bit of physical damage, creates a temporal rift. Let's see. Okay, target 15 seconds plus 330. Okay, of course, this is not reading right because I am on the ground. But this looks interesting, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this here. I'm, of course, going to discard all of my weapons that came with it. Discard. Might help if I... Let's ready that Starship. There we go. Now let's see if I can discard correctly. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Discard. Discard everything. And then I can put the correct or the gear that I want on without having it take up my inventory. Alright, there we go. Discard and discard. Discard. Oops. Discard. Okay. Now let's try this again. I, of course, want to put on my epic weapons first. And there we go. 4 in the front. And all my space gear. You'll notice everything is Mark 14. I'm not too worried about rarity even on my space items because eventually I'm going to replace those once I level up all my reputations. I will be replacing those with the Iconian set. Alright. There's my devices. There's my Temporal Negotiator and my Subspace Field Modulator. There we go. And I want Plasmonic Leech. I want to make sure that gets in there. I do want my M6 computer. Alright. And let's see. Or let's go with the temporal destabilization matrix. And of course, this is for now until I'm able to get the fleet gear that I need, which I will get by donating things to my fleet and armada. And there we go. Now, of course, I have to level this up to get the trait here, okay, which is, in this case, designated target. Killing focus assault targets grants plus damage buff and heal. So this will be a nice thing. And I'll get different benefits from this ship as I level it up, of course. Now it will take some time. I level up from playing with this ship in space, which we are almost ready to do. You'll notice I have 7 weapons, so 1 weapon is currently not used. That's okay. We're still going to have it waiting in the wings for when we're done. And of course, as always, whoops, almost forgot to put my stations. Okay. So we have a Commander Tactical. This is awesome. So we're going to put, since he's got most of what I want here, we're going to put Augustin. And then I'm going to go to Augustin and I'm going to train him with Attack Pattern Beta 3, which I should have. Have a Beta 3. Oh. First be promoted. Okay. There we go. Attack Pattern Beta 3. And there. Okay, so this gives a larger debuff, smaller debuff, and this allows me to free up that ensign slot. Since I already have the con officers to cool down my tactical team, I'm going to go ahead and train him, not with Fire at Will 1, which he already has, but with Chemosite Laced Weaponry 1, and there we go. Chemosite, there we go. So we have Beta 3 and Chemosite 1, and then I'm going to put Tarsi on my, there she goes. She has Tactical Team 1. Okay. And then for my Universal, I'm going to go ahead and put my Tactical here, my Intel Tactical. And she has, let's see, where is she? Jackie, okay. So she has all Intel skills right now, but I'm going to go ahead and train her in some regular skills. I'm going to put a, let's see, I'm going to put a Fire at Will 3. I'm going to go ahead and put a Chemosite Laced Weaponry 2. And then I'm going to put another Tac Team 1, and that will free up my duty officers. Okay. Alright, so we're heading to the exchange. We're going to get another copy of Fire at Will 3 and a copy of, and I already have a copy of Chemosite. We'll get another copy of Tactical Team 1 as well, and that will free up my duty officers for other things. So we'll go get the copy of Tactical Team 1 first, since we know where that is. Now this doesn't use the temporal abilities, which the ship is capable of, but I do know this is a tried and true build. This will have a lot of debuff, which will help me to do extra damage. It'll use Fire at Will 3, 2 copies of it, which I know is the best thing to do here. It will give me 2 copies of beta, which will allow me to use to have a nice debuff there as well, and will keep me alive with my, will allow me to slap my Gravwell, and it'll keep me alive, allow me to cleanse with some debuffs, or sorry, cleanse the any debuffs that are put on me, or most of the debuffs that are put on me. So this is a nice tried and true build. It's simple, it's easy, anyone can do it. Alright, so let's put this here, and we'll go with Fire at Will 3. Would help if I searched under all. There we go. 1 copy of Fire at Will 3. Alright, so now I'm going to train Jackie. And I'm going to train her here with Fire at Will 3. And this will now be her default. I'm going to train her here with Chemosite Laced Weaponry 2. That will be her default. And I'm going to train her here with Tactical Team 1. And that will be her default. Okay. Now, let's look at my duty officers here. Alright, I need to look at my roster and active space. I'm going to take these off because I no longer need them to cool off my tactical team. Okay. Now I can look at what else I have available. I do want to limit this to very rare. And let's see what I have available. Not a lot. And I do have something, if I remember. Okay, Torsec, Genocide Power 2, Subsystems. Okay, what are the circumstances? Okay. Activating engineering team, which I'm not going to be using, so not worried about that. Okay. And not using tractor beam. Alright. So let's see what we have under rare. Not using that. Okay. What do we have under green? We can put our chance to reduce recharge time for deflector abilities, because that is, deflector abilities include things like gravity well, and we're going to be using a gravity well. We can also put a recharge time reduction on all transwarp abilities, or we can put a recharge time reduced for science team and buff. Since we only have one science team, that will be very helpful. And let's see if we have any uncommons. Double shot. No. Okay, not seeing anything really interesting here for the moment. We can, of course, buy duty officers that help us a little more or a little better. We're going to worry about that later. Duty officers really kind of finish off a build, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so, but I am worried about our stations. Alright, so we want to have Jackie with her beam fire at will, Chemosite 2, and tactical team 1. So this is a again, a tried and true build that will give me exactly what I want here. There we go. Now this build should do quite well in an ISA, for example, even in its current state. Now, if I had all of the resources that I needed available right away, I would take these three consoles, would be science consoles from my embassy, plasma explosions with a reduction of threat. These five would be vulnerability, would be probably a mix of vulnerability locators and exploiters because of the fact that I do have crit D3 over. I would want to max out my crit D as much as possible. I would also have for my bridge officers three in this case superior Romulan operatives again from the embassy. Okay, since I don't have those, I'm currently working with what I have. All right, so this is my current build. This should get me at least 20 to 30k in an ISA, probably a bit higher, even in its current state. So there we go. And now we are ready to play our next episode, which is going to be the core of the matter, because we're going to go to yesterday's war arc, and do the core of the matter. So I will see you for that episode coming up next.